Hello, 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 hello. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching me from. I want to welcome you to my first live stream. All right, guys. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining my live stream today. I've always wanted to talk about this topic of X education. I'm just going to be conscious of the kind of words I use because of the YouTube policy. You can see my princess sleeping. I've been trying to come live, but it hasn't been possible. But thank God she's sleeping. I decided to come out here and let's chat. I'm very sorry this live is actually 17 minutes late. Yes, it was supposed to start by 1 p.m., but then one thing led to the other, and network has not been my friend. That's why I'm so sorry it came a bit late. Now, today we are talking about S education. You know, I'm not going to be calling sex because of YouTube policy, so I'm going to be saying S education. Something happened that prompted this topic. I know this is not my niche. I hope you've been enjoying my food. The fried recipes I've been releasing to you guys. I hope you've been enjoying it as well as I've been enjoying making it for you guys. I mean, if I don't do it for you guys, who will? So, guys, I something happened some time ago, and I had a visitor some days back, and I think that was 2 weeks ago. She actually came to my house to drop her keys because she had somewhere she was going to. And when she came, she kind of told me I should monitor the kind of movies they watch and all that. And the normal me would have just said okay or no problem, after all I'm not the movie person, at least they can get to watch cartoons and all that. But on a second thought I decided to, you know what, let me ask her why she's saying this. I asked her, this one you're telling me to monitor the kind of movies this kids watch, have you taught them X education? And she said no, that if you tell them or if you teach them, how did she even put it? If you teach them now, you make their mind to, you make them want to practice it. I don't know. Yeah, that was how she put it. If you put them, if you teach them about it now, you put it in their mind. That means you make kind of want to practicalize what you taught them. So I don't, you know, it was situation like this. So I just allowed her to go. When she came back, I talked to her. I found that most patients shy away from as in their kids. I don't want I please ignore the noise at the background. There is nothing I can do about that. Please, I'm sorry. Now most parents, no education, not be ignoring. So some of them feel that something you shouldn't do is when you make them want to practicalize it. Others have this culture word SES is sacred as such. Talk about it and all that, especially has to do with kids. But trust me, this is just true because for those of you that feel that when we as educate, we make them practicalize it, except you do not educate them well. Is educate a child very well. There is no how that child will want to practicalize it. As education has the donkey of every action you take. I don't know if it's nice. That is what it's all about. Just tell a child, don't do this. You don't just tell a child, oh, don't without giving the child why he or she shouldn't do it. Now, when reason add to something, okay, it makes it makes it realistic. It makes it something that they want to kind of listen to, practice, and then it becomes part of that child. When you don't educate the child very well, and then you expect let's try to educate our children right way. Now, what time do you start it as educating your kids? I don't know how to say this. It might so funny and awkward, but you start educating your at the stage where they are still toddlers. Yes, where they are still babies, like just educating your kids, you listen to them at this stage. The reason is because if taking notes of this, kids tends to kind of play with the parts, especially they play with their parents so much. Okay, now you start at toddler as educate them. How do you start at toddler? Remember, at this stage they do not know and even know what you're talking about. In fact, you won't even be making sense to them as educating them at but then there is a way you go about it. The first thing is your child parts of his body. How do I mean this? You come head, and all parts down to his or her, and then make sure that you are naming each part of the body. You mention you mention the real. You don't just sugarcoat it in a way that don't want panics. And you say pee pee, wee. Please tell them the real thing at this stage. Okay, make them to understand that the part of their body. That is the first stage of sex education. The first stage of S education. That is the first thing you start your child is to know the parts of his or her body. It makes the whole work easy for you. A child of 2 to 3 years can actually play around my shoulder, my knee, my toe, kind of. Okay, make part you mention. This is your ear. After all, when we're mentioning eyes, we don't get to say eyes. Okay, and we'll say this is your luku. One eyes, right? Now that is the same thing we are supposed to do with educating our kids, right? Right? What we're supposed to do when we are educating our kids. Make sure each part of the body you're mentioning, you make the right way, right? You do not say it in the way that you don't want the child to know the name. You're not helping that. Make sure understands the part of the mentioning and do not allocate it. I say teach a child says education start at toddler. It doesn't mean you will just go out and say this does this or that does that. You just have to start from teaching that part of his or her body. Okay. Now, age of 3 to 5 years, such child is kind of more I started understanding things. Okay, and this is when you use books that explains parts of the body, the reproductive system. Yeah, yes, in very simple way. I'm not saying you should know anatomy. I'm not saying you should be legal. There are some kind of words something that kind of explains or child a part of his or her body. This thing I'm talking about, this kind of materials can actually label the head, the nose, the mouth, okay, and cut down, as the arm, the immersion all parts of the body. That is the first thing you're supposed to get for the child at the age of 3 to 5 years. Another time this child is already aware of his or her part of the body. The time you tell the part of the body are private. Okay, the child shouldn't stage the part of the body of his or her body refer to the private part. Why do you have to emphasize part of the body that is private? It's because you want this child to be aware of the fact that this is your part. You are CEO of your body, and no one is allowed to touch this part of your body. All right, you child understand that no one. Sorry, I'm coming, please. Um, Sorry, please. You make the child understand that no one should access to this part of the body. And you teach the child scream, how to shout when someone touch this particular part of the body, that you've made him or her understand that this is the private part of the body. You teach the child how to scream, how to shout, how to report when someone is particular part of the body. Make them understand that it's actually their eight parts. All right. Now, now there's a story I read on Facebook precisely, and it's about was trying also to create awareness about parents trying to what educate their kids, advising parents to always ask their kids. And then she was mentioning something, that something happened living in a general compound per se, those kind of face me or face you compound. And one of those days, okay, she happened to go out to get something, and when she went out, her little baby, okay, her little baby wee wee on her body, okay, and she wasn't around. Right, she wasn't around to kind of clean the baby up or something. So what happened is this: the neighbor opted to help, like wash the baby bum bum and all that. But what happened? She has a child of 3 and 5 years precisely. All of them, the smaller one pee pee, poo poo rather, like poo. And then the neighbor was trying to help her in her up. This lady baby started shouting, "Mommy said no one should touch my bum bum. Mommy said no one should touch my bum bum," and stuff like that. And the neighbor got embarrassed. Okay. So when the mom came back, the baby reported the neighbor to the mother, and the neighbor feeling embarrassed and trying to report what the child did to him to the mother. And the mother said, yes, this is her body, and no one is ever touched that of her body, because it's her private part. Now this lady said it was so furious and angry, and then walked away. And later on, she had to go to the neighbor to explain to him. She kind said that in front of because she doesn't want to change what she has told them. She doesn't want to kind of start framing up another thing entirely. Just want them to stick to what she has told them about the body parts that are private. Okay, so, and I want you to understand one thing: if you don't teach your kids as education, another person will teach them in the wrong way. And if you don't teach a child sexuality from the age of 5 years to 9 years, any other thing you are teaching that child after 9 years is just corrective. How do I why what do I mean by corrective? What that this child had a little knowledge somehow. A 9 years child would have not had a knowledge somehow that something, especially the computer age children that we have now, they would have had the knowledge somehow that something like this or something like that, okay, it's, I don't know how to say this, like something like this actually exists. Okay, there is something that is called X, okay, SES. Please be mind you, I said I'm not going to mention this so much because of YouTube policy and all that. So the child would have been aware that there's why parents should come should come out of this. So most believe that when they teach their child as a, that is going to make them practice. Like I kept saying, as education well done, Isaac, that truth. When you educate your child wrong way, don't the right. I don't see that child trying to raise it because everything you tell him or her has him. Why she should do this way, and so I don't. When you teach your child data 3 years. Now we are going to talking about 6 to 9. This is when your child so vocal, like, and this is when the child becomes so vocal that the child can actually come to you and ask you questions. Okay, don't be surprised when your child of 9 years old come to you and say, "Mommy, what is sex?" You start telling the child about what this thing as the question comes, playing it based on what the question. Do not try away. Do not try to kind of sugarcoat it, make it not sound like a real thing because you don't want them to understand that one reproductive is penis. You don't want them to understand that one of the male reproductive organ is the vagina. You are trying to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry if I'm being too raw. Maybe my profession combined with the fact that I just feel that parents should do the right thing is just making me come out so raw this way. So, as educate your child at this stage because they will be coming with so many questions. They might even ask you, "Mommy, how did Junior come about? How did this person come about? And how do babies, how do babies, different ways that are kind of funny sometimes. The truth is, you have to be ready as a explain things to them, make them understand all of these things. Right? Because they are basically going to be asking, sorry, it's, all right, they're basically going to be asking different kind of questions that if you don't take your time, you confuse of what to tell them or what to answer. All right. So I just want to be able to put a child whenever he or she with some questions and all that. And that's when you start being so elaborate about the reproductive organs of both. Okay. That is when you start being about the reproductive organs of both. Like educating your child, make sure to explain things in such a way that everything every child has a reaction. It's good or it's bad. That's why I say parents shying away from teaching their kids as education because they have this notion. You know what? I teach this child as it is going to. I think I'm having network issues. I don't know. Having network issues. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why the network is this bad. Okay.